Okay,
but it's
cannot
true
be
to
true
me right
later.
now.
How about
Yeah.
in the present moment? Is it possible for some of your beliefs to not be true?
No.
So everything that you believe is true, and you can't be wrong about anything you think?
Can you repeat that one?
You can't be wrong about anything you think? I'd say it depends on the day. Like sometimes I can only do one or two.
Depend on the conversation.
It also depends on the conversation. Some people have a lot of like really tightly held beliefs, and if I ask them the right questions in the right order, their belief can unravel, and to them it can be a really revealing experience. It's happened several times where I've asked somebody how they know what it is they know, and together, like I'm with them reflecting on this idea, and they've come to realize that they're either using a standard that they would not want someone else to use, or that they can't really know whatever it is that they know, in which case their confidence starts to shift. Sometimes it can go up higher, sometimes it goes down lower. It really just depends on what it is that they're saying.
Higher or lower in terms of like their strength in that belief.
Right, their confidence. Yeah, some people are, start off not so confident and then get more confident.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the other direction. It really just depends on, and I'm a biased person, and my questions I'm striving to be non-biased with my questions, though.
Oh,
It can be
I don't
really
know
hard.
if that's possible though.
Right, it can be really hard, but that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
What I hope is that by the end of the conversation, if I've done this right, unless you ask me directly where I stand on the same claim, then if I've done this right, you have no idea what number I would give it on the scale of confidence. In other words, you wouldn't know whether or not I believe it too or not.
Right.
If I did it right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Although,
very interesting.
I also want to be open to answering the same questions that I'm asking if you also are curious about how I think about it, but it's not required.
Oh,
right?
I mean, I personally would rather have that, to have a conversation rather than a...
In that case, at any point, if a question comes to mind, I encourage you to ask it, and maybe you can learn some of this dialectic yourself and apply this in your own life with people that you agree with and disagree with to bring clarity to other people's views.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of options. Okay. You can either pick a claim that you think is true.
All right.
And we can go through the motions of figuring out how you could be so sure that it's true. The other option is there's a survey here that are beliefs about how we form beliefs. Okay. And there are things that I've heard people say over the past several years. And you can either agree or disagree to each one of those.
Okay.
Either way works for me.
I'll go with this.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to start doing this in the beginning. Can I get your name and contact information? And you can withdraw consent at any time, both for the recording and for the interview. It's all up to you.
Got it.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to leave you to this for a little while and think about it, and I won't be far.
Great. The most important criteria for my beliefs is that they match reality.
Probably one of the most interesting ones on that survey. What do you think that means?
most important criteria for my beliefs is that they match reality. I don't think that's true. But it's true in many ways too. I think it's both.
Yeah, it's hard to answer, isn't it?
I mean, obviously it matches the perception of your reality. Right? But does that justify your beliefs? Is that what do you mean by like most important, you know?
In other words, is it important to believe? So, did I ask this already? On the scale of confidence? We could use whatever scale you want. 1 to 7, 1 to 10, 1 to 100. And it doesn't even need to be numerical. Maybe it's a glass of water or some other thing. How important is it for our beliefs to match reality? Or another way to phrase it is, how important is it for us to believe in things that are true?
But the thing is like, what is true? I mean, true is what we understand is true.
That's what this whole workshop is about. Yeah.
So, it's what we perceive as true. Which
is the truth that which we perceive? Or can we perceive things and be mistaken about them?
I feel like that's both. It's the same answer as what I just gave for that one too. It's like,
let's leave it blank for now, and we'll come back to it in a minute.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for filling this out.
That one stumped me.
Yeah.
It's like it could be both.
Okay. What do you think about it overall, generally? Is it a fair way to think about the way we think about how it is we know what we know? Or is there something missing in this survey? What would be a way to improve this survey, do you think?
Honestly,
or is that too general?
No, honestly, I feel like the only thing for me is that it's very condensed. There's a lot of concepts in there.
Yes.
The only thing is it was a lot to take in at once, so that was probably the only thing I would say about it.
Right. And that's, again, why it's so crucial for me that I go at my conversation partner's pace. And at any point, just let me know when you're like, wow, I really need to go think about that for a while, then come back. I highly encourage you exit when the time feels right for you. And I won't know when that is unless you tell me. So I encourage you to be cognizant of where you think you are, because this process can be really unraveling, especially the survey. Having a surface level conversation about just some belief that you have is one thing.
Right.
This is, like you said, many, many concepts.
Yeah.
Where I like to start is with 24. Okay. Sometimes. It depends. It depends on how I'm viewing the way people have filled it out, and I haven't really looked at it yet. So 24, it is possible that some of my beliefs are not true.
Yeah.
And you marked the way I would mark. Strongly agree.
I feel like to unravel that entire, even that statement alone is like
that one statement.
Yeah,
right?
What do you mean by true? You know, it's like
right. Well, that's what this one's about. What it means to be mistaken, and is that even possible? If our beliefs are what we perceive, would it ever be possible to be mistaken?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is some sort of surface level belief that it can be mistaken. It's not. I think humans have this way of categorizing things as good or bad or true or mistaken, valid or not. And we're trying to conceptualize what is correct, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so
when I say, you can be mistaken, I kind of think of it as you can change that belief that you used to think was true.
Yes, new information sounds like can come to light. You can change your minds. Yeah. So let's do a little thought experiment about both number 1 and number 24. I have a box of candies here. Would you say, or Yeah, would you say the number of candies in this box is either an even or an odd number before anyone counts them or knows the number?
No.
No.
Unless they can guess. It depends on, like, what do you mean by, like, someone, before someone knows it. Because it's like, maybe someone has the diameter or some
Yeah,
sort
let's
of
say all we
dimension of
have
it.
is one angle. Let's say we can only see the front or
Yeah.
something.
Okay, like a two-dimensional
Yeah,
rather
sure.
than a
Well,
three-dimensional.
it's more like, are we discovering what's true by counting them? Or are we manifesting what's true by counting them? Or some other answer? What's happening? Is there a number in here before we count them? Or is there not a number?
Right. I feel like that's no.
There's no number?
Yeah, unless we have conceptualized it as a certain number that makes our mind understand how much, whatever knowledge we wanted it from this, which is the number.
Okay.
Or the amount.
If your mind were to change about this, how would it affect your life, do you think? Would it change your beliefs if you thought about this differently?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a belief, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, I feel like belief is also on a spectrum, like how much of it actually you choose, and a lot of it is subconscious, a lot of it is unconscious, and only a very small percentage of it is like conscious to choose what is more or less controlling, like choosing your life. And I guess a belief like that is like, to me, is like, okay, I'm good.
So let's ask a broader question. Before there was anything alive, was there anything true? Or was there nothing true?
No, truth is just a perception.
Truth is a perception.
Yeah, it's just like whatever we believe is true. So in that case, I think what I believe in is if those people, or those living things, beings, have some sort of level of consciousness, awareness that things are true, then it is true to them.
True to them. If it's true to them, does that mean they can't be wrong?
If it's true to them, does that mean they can't be wrong? I think that I'm thinking about like the concept of time. Like, it's true to them right now, but then they can only be wrong if time has passed and they have decided that it was wrong.
Oh, so people are always right if they are confident. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Once they change their mind, then it's no longer true because they changed their mind? But before they change their mind, it's true to them?
The belief at that. So once they change their mind, and that time has passed, and now their mind has changed, then in that moment, that belief is not held anymore. And to them, at that moment, that feels false, but then I guess it was true at the time.
If someone's mistaken and they're both highly confident in an idea which isn't true, is that possible?
Can you say that one again?
Yeah. Is it possible for anyone to be highly confident in an idea that's false?
No, that's just an oxymoron. It's, yeah, because validity, like, truth is what is true to them. And if it's false to them, then that's the
Truth is
not
what's
their
true to
reality.
them?
Yeah.
Let's say there's a situation in which two people disagree.
Yeah.
one person thinks that they're correct. Let's say they say that the number in here is odd, and some other group thinks that the number in this box is even. Is one of them wrong?
No, I guess
They're both right
Yeah.
about the number in here? Is the number more than one number? Or is there one number?
The thing is, I feel like if the opinion to them is so strongly, like, they're so strongly attached to that opinion, then it's true to them, and that's their reality, and that's their perception of what is true, and therefore that is true.
On number two says, we all share the same reality and only interpret it differently. If the candies...
Yeah.
Well, let's make it a question. Are the candies in the reality that you and I share?
Are the candies in the reality? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah.
Can the number be different for you than they are for me? Even because if they're outside, if they exist outside of my mind and outside of your mind,
Yeah.
is there some objective number of candies in the box?
What do you mean by objective number? Like just a fact of the matter number?
Yeah, even before anyone counts them.
Right, yeah. I know, but that might contradict with my number too.
Well, you agree. I also agree. I mean, I wonder how we could challenge this. Though we both agree, it seems. Though I'm just curious, if you agree to number two, that we all share the same reality and only interpret it differently, I guess I'm wondering, are you and I in separate realities? Like, if the number is one number for you and a different number for me.
Yeah, that's what reality is, I think. Perception.
So there's perception. How about this? If we change this word reality to universe, so we all share the same universe and only interpret it differently? Or if you want, we could say we all share the same planet Earth, the same world, and only interpret it differently. Is the world the same world for both you and I, though we may interpret it differently? Is that how you see things? I love how you're giving this a lot of thought. Thank you so much. You can take a look at it.
It's interesting because I feel like when we say we all share the same reality, that's kind of like a belief that we are all in the same planet or world, or that is what we...
Are we in different worlds? Or are we on the same planet together?
Yeah, and that's like an interpretation, right? It's like an interpretation that we are in the same world if that's what we believe, that we're in the same world, or if we're not, then that's an interpretation of that reality.
So just want to check in on time. My timer did run out.
Okay.
I can go at this all day long, but I need you to stop me.
Yes, I'll go another one.
Another one?
Yeah.
Which one was of most interest to you? $18 was a pretty good one. That one's really interesting to me.
Yeah,
Though I want to go where you want to go. So
I definitely want to go somewhere where I'm not like... Actually, I don't know. Oh, I want to hear about what you think about this one.
Number 6?
Yeah.
Number
Strong
6?
belief, even without action, can change external reality.
Right. So that one, you want to hear what I have to think about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a specific question in mind?
No.
Okay. Number 6 is probably the one where I see the widest variety of answers. More so probably than any other on the entire survey. Strong belief, even without action, can change external reality. And it depends on how we're interpreting that statement, would depend on how I would answer it. I happen to also agree to number 2. And if I strongly believe that the number is odd, my belief about them being odd, in my view, doesn't have any impact on the actual number. The number is the number is the number to me. And the only way I can know is if I pour them out, count them, and then hand them to you so you can check me to make sure I'm not mistaken. And that's how we can be highly confident. And even then, there might be a little room for doubt as to whether or not we truly counted them correctly. And I suppose that I don't think that my beliefs in it of themselves change reality, like telekinesis or magic or anything like that. Though, I think our beliefs are extremely consequential. And there's no way, in my view, to hold a belief and have it not affect the external world in some way, whether we're conscious of it or not.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
How would you define external world?
The world that existed before I was born and will continue to exist after I'm dead.
As like this human life.
Yeah. Like, I try to recall what my subjective reality was before I was born. And I think that there were plenty of things that were true before I was born. And I don't really have a way to really test for that, except for to investigate other people that came before me who asked the same question.
But isn't it only because you said, if I remember correctly, there were lots of things that were true before you were born. How do you know that?
Right. That's a really excellent question, and I respect that question a great deal. I think I can find ways to investigate other people who are in the same situation as me, who report also not having access to history. And those people are within a Venn diagram of other people that came before them, who are within a Venn diagram of other people that came before them.
Yeah. So would you say in that case that something is true if everyone agrees?
Yeah, I disagree to that. I don't think anyone...
But isn't that what you're saying? Like, you're saying, okay, you know that something is true before you were born. But
I see what you're saying. Right. Mm-hmm. So my reason for thinking that my reason for thinking things were true before I was born has a lot to do with what I've learned about the nature of reality and how old reality is. There's things like carbon dating. There's things like in astronomy, we can point our telescopes at the stars and we can see light that's billions of years old. We're quite literally looking into the past. So to me, that is physical evidence of the universe being older than me. So to me, I don't really need other people's opinions. That's just probably the one that's easiest to go to, is the fact that we're all stuck in the same predicament of not really knowing what it was that came before us, yet we are aware that there was something that did come before us. Right. And the best evidence is probably light from other stars, though there's lots of other things like the age of the Earth, the age of the Moon, the age of the solar system, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
While my confidence can shift depending on the quality of the evidence, I think that is fairly decent evidence to conclude that there were things that were true billions of years ago, before I was even around. and the number in this box is a number, even if I don't count them. And my counting them is discovering what's true, rather than making them true by perceiving it. And that's how I'm seeing things. But that's a really good question. I respect that question a great deal.
I want to question that.
Please.
If you said you knew things were true before you were born, so if you were never born, were they not true?
So I wouldn't be able, if I was never born,
Yeah.
I would not be able to judge one way or the other.
Right.
Right.
But does that make those things not true?
Well, here's the thing. How many people have never been born and will never be born? Like,
Right.
if that question even makes sense, that's like an outsider test for your question. So it's like, if there are people that have never been born, well, let's put it like this. Let's say somebody's born tomorrow. Are things only true after that person's born?
Right, yeah. That's my question to you.
Right, and I would say yes. There are things that are true before that person's born. And that person may not be able to know it.
Yeah.
And because they're stuck in that predicament, I can look at myself and recognize that I am no different than the newborn baby born tomorrow. And that I am stuck in this one place in time. And there were times before me. And I think it's safe to assume that, based off of everyone else being stuck in the same predicament. And it has very little to do with number 5. Number 5 is good, though.
I feel like
something
it does
is
have
true.
to do with that. I feel like
Well, the evidence of the stars is like my main go-to, because that's physical evidence I can see in this time of a time a billion years ago. And it's just recognizing other people are stuck in the same situation. And I use that as a reference point to look at the question you asked, which is like, how can I know anything was true before I was born? And I just think of all the people who are born tomorrow and how they're asking the same question to themselves, right? And I'm no different. I just happen to be one step further in the past than them. And I can imagine that continuing to my great-grandfather and great-great-great-grandfather. Or grandmother, whatever. Yeah. Those are really good questions. This can be...
Isn't it that that belief that things were true before you were born, only true to your reality right now, but then once before this birth or after death?
Depends on how you're conceptualizing the truth. I see here that you've marked slightly agree to number 1. What do you think the truth means? What is the truth? Not how do we get to the truth, but what is it?
Yeah, it's whatever is.
It's whatever is? Like the number. Is that like the number?
What do you mean, is that like the number?
Like, is the truth whatever the number of candies happens to be in this box?
No, that's just our way of understanding
what the truth is?
Yeah, like it's kind of our means to get this truth. Like it's in some ways it's like consciousness is what births the idea of this truth.
Consciousness births truth.
And that's kind of why I'm...
So let's go back to 24 really quick. You strongly agree. It is possible that some of my beliefs are not true. Let me ask you this. If you strongly agree that it's possible that some of your beliefs are not true, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah. I think of that in space time. Like, I think about that, like, it could be true now and it could be true tomorrow, but it doesn't have to be true in 3 days or whatever. And whatever is true, whatever my belief that is true to me.
So this is about not true. 24 is about not true.
Yeah, so it is possible that, right.
What does that mean? So in other words,
Right.
and this is just a way of looking at what the truth is by focusing on what it isn't. So, like,
Right.
I guess, because I also strongly agree. If anything, I think the most true thing on there is 24.
Mm-hmm.
The most true statement on that whole survey is that it's possible that my beliefs, some of them, are not true.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, like, I'm not aware of my false beliefs. Are you aware of the beliefs that you have that are false?
No, then in that case, it's not a freaking belief, you know?
Right, like, if you knew they were false, you probably wouldn't be confident in them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so it's possible to be confident in something, I'm hearing you say, and believe that it's true and be wrong about that.
They're making fun of me. Sorry. I say yeah a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, repeat what you just said.
Right. It's possible, and correct me if this is not possible, to be confident in something to a high degree and be mistaken. And for that thing to actually be not the case.
In that moment that you say that, about that belief, that your confidence is, really high, in that moment to you it's true.
In that moment I believe it's true, and my question is, can I be wrong?
In that moment, no. But then all these moments are fleeting.
So to anyone who believes, and this is me repeating what I'm hearing, and you correct me if I misunderstand you.
Mm-hmm.
To anyone who's highly confident, they're right. If they believe it. Everyone who believes their beliefs is correct. That's what I'm hearing you say. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So and I heard you say earlier that if we were aware that our beliefs were false, then we would no longer believe them.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing you say, no matter what anyone thinks, if they think it, it's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so my timer ran up again.
Okay, let's do a little bit more. A little bit more, yeah.
Good. Because this can go deep. Is the Earth flat?
My true opinion's no.
Is your opinion true?
This is my reality of what I understand.
And are we sharing the same reality or the same planet? Are you and I on the same planet, Earth?
To what we understand, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I believe that. Can the Earth be both flat and some other shape at the same time? Like flat or round? Or...
Yeah, to certain people. Yeah, it depends. It depends on your belief and your reality.
Depends on your belief.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't think there is an external reality. External reality is reality. Like, it's same as the internal reality. It's like, how can you... Because what you just asked was, can the Earth be flat, both flat and round?
Yeah.
And I say yes, because it can be flat to Susan, and that is true to them. So yes, it can. And then it's round to perhaps you, and that is...
And so we're
is.
both right and we're both wrong in each other's eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say, why bother looking for the answer? Just look to see which one's correct. Why bother investigating anything at all if whatever we think is what's true?
fun.
That's number 19.
It's fun, yeah.
It is fun. I agree to that.
It's fun to like be different from
What happens if it's
time.
What happens if it's not fun though? So this is a hard question. What if there's a dispute? Let's say it's a political dispute. Can you imagine a political dispute?
Right.
Okay. Is everyone right?
In their eyes, yeah.
Regardless of the political dispute? Like how, I guess what I'm saying is, how do we resolve our conflicts and our differences if everyone's right?
Yeah. Yeah. Compassion and not being angry.
Well, I understand.
And
we
then
wanna
I
be
think
tolerant.
and I think you can get into the middle, like some sort of because there's a difference between like everyone is right and everyone wanting to keep that belief to be right, to like not be open-minded about it, to hold on to it.
So
right?
let's say I believe in political belief X, and you believe in political belief Y.
Yeah.
It's the same issue. You're just coming from a different angle on it.
Yeah.
And let's say there's a dispute now because of this.
Yeah.
Is there any hope to resolve our differences, or is there no hope?
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
How would we resolve our disputes?
Compassion and listening.
Well, what if you want what you want and I want what I want?
That's not compassion and listening.
Well, that's the nature of the thought experiment, right? So it's a political issue now. Is what you're saying we just need to talk it out?
Yeah.
Okay. And how do we talk it out? What are we talking about?
Why we believe in what we believe in.
If I just say I believe because what I believe is true, do you have any hope in reaching me to resolve this conflict?
I don't know if that's willing to have a conversation. What do you think?
I think if... can you be more specific with that question?
No.
Do you just want to know what I think about that overall? Or what do you think?
More about what I last said. That's not a conversation if someone just says my belief is true because it's true to me.
Right.
That's not
what's the difference so truth depends on the opinions and beliefs of people. You strongly agree to that?
Yeah, I strongly agree with that.
And if it were my opinion that the number of candies in this box was a trillion candies,
Yeah.
is that true?
Yeah. It's not true to me.
Okay.
That's why it's like something is true if everyone agrees. That one's super interesting. It's like
Yeah, you oddly slightly disagree to that. Why would you slightly disagree if what people think is true is what makes something true? Wouldn't that make it even more true if somebody agrees?
Oh, I'm interpreting that as like if everyone is agreeing to something that this is true.
Let's say everyone thinks the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
Does that make it true that the Earth is flat? Because everyone says it? Or can it be possible that everyone's wrong?
And I think all of this kind of like circles back to this belief of mine that like every single belief that that something is true or false is perceived. I think it just is what I'm realizing that circles back to, is like everything that we believe is true doesn't have to be true externally. If we do say that's the stars that we're seeing at night, the moon, billions of years away, or the earth is flat is our external reality. Then that's just our perception that it's the external reality.
It's just our perception. Yeah. And one last time.
So nothing is real.
Nothing is real. Why do we agree to number 2 then?
Yeah, it's weird because everything is real at the same time. Everything is like, because everything is real to everyone and everything. It's an interesting
I find it
paradox.
so interesting that you agree to 24. I don't know how. I'm trying to understand how you could agree to 24.
Yeah, no, it has to do with the concept of time.
So I'm trying to understand you. I'm not trying to push you in any direction. Though, how is it you can agree to 24?
It is possible that some of my beliefs are not true.
How does that work?
Yeah, I think when the word possible was being used, it makes me think of the conception of time. Like my belief can not be true in 2 days.
Okay,
but
it
it's
cannot
true
be
to me
true
right
later.
now.
How about
Yeah.
in the present moment? Is it possible for some of your beliefs to not be true?
No.
So everything that you believe is true, and you can't be wrong about anything you think?
Can you repeat that one?
You can't be wrong about anything you think?
No, not at this moment that I'm speaking right now, and then that moment already passed.
So you're
it
always
could
right
be
about everything that you say or believe.
as the moments go
Adding a
on.
little sass there.
No, I like it. Yeah, I believe that as the moment fleets.
So let's say somebody comes here and they take your wallet and they say, it's true to me that that's my wallet. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but then as they say that moment passed, and this moment to me, that is not true.
To you?
To me.
Who are you to say that they're wrong if they believe it?
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
Yeah, they're not wrong in that they believe that.
Even if they steal from you and they believe that it's theirs, they're still not wrong. So let me put it like this. Every single person that's been committed for a crime or been thrown in jail who said, I didn't do it, all of them were wrongly committed. Is that what you're saying? Every person who's murdered someone else and has claimed that they didn't, that person didn't?
Yeah, to them, yeah. To us, no. I guess that's a really, it depends on the perspective of who.
Okay.
As they say that, I guess where I'm going with it is, for example, in that situation, someone says, I didn't do it. That's them verbally, conceptualizing this idea that they have in their head that they did not do it.
And I'm hearing you say that they can't be wrong.
Yeah, because that moment they said that, and that's not wrong. That's I assume that when they say something, I think it's different. There's a difference between saying something and believing in it. So if they believe that they're not wrong, or they say that they're not wrong and they believe it, then they're not wrong. But that moment passed. That moment left. And this moment, they might still say that they're not wrong.
Well, if their claim is about something that happened in the past, why is going into the future changing anything about what happened in the past?
Because our perception of it changed.
Okay. if our perception of the past changes, that
Yeah,
changes what happens in the past? Okay.
I mean, a good example of that, right, is like you.
I'm wondering now, were there dinosaurs?
Were there dinosaurs? I would say yes.
Okay. Did we know about dinosaurs before we discovered dinosaur fossils? I want you to think about this for a bit.
Yeah.
And this has been a really good talk.
Yeah.
You're a really
Thank you.
really like laser in and you pay attention and focus to what I'm saying and what I'm asking of you in a way that's really interesting to me. And I have a great deal of respect for the time that you've given me today.
Thank you so
allow
much
me to
for
examine your views.
this was I'm like so on it. I'm like, damn, this is
Yeah,
really
what we're doing is we're having an abstract discussion about what the truth means to us,
Yeah.
how we consider something
Yeah.
true, and how do we resolve conflicts about
Right.
disputes of belief and
Yeah.
how we view these things.
Yeah.
And it's just been such a joy to talk
Yeah.
with you
Yeah, thank you
today
so
about all
much.
this
Wow.
stuff. So let me give you this,
Oof.
and I'll probably take a picture of it before you go, but you get this to keep. I'll let
Great.
you hang on to that for now.
Yeah,
And any
You're-
lingering questions?
No, I just
before
want to
we're
say you're great at really creating an environment where not only people's beliefs feel accepted but also challenged, and it's hard to have
done? Yeah, it's a
dichotomy
fine
of
line.
both.
It's really, I've been working on my
It's great.
ability to walk that line for
Yeah.
a while, and it's
Yeah.
hard because I want to push people. I want them to be comfortable, but also
Okay.
I want them to be comfortable to stay, but I also want them to feel a little uncomfortable and thinking differently and trying to wrap
Yeah.
our head around things that we don't get a chance to talk about very often.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad
It's
it
great.
worked
I
out.
love talking about this shit.
Well, maybe what we can do is before I'm gone tomorrow, think about this for a while, and maybe we'll sit down for a follow-up just before the festival's over, if you're open to it, and we'll see how your mind may have reflected about this conversation tomorrow. Or something else.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Wow.